This episode is brought to you by Ororo and their awesome heated jackets. How you feeling being on a boat?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
It's moving.
It feels alright so far. Betty is absolutely hateful of being on boats because she gets seasick.
Violently!
We figured out after we bought the accommodation for the night that we had to get on a ferry to get there. Yeah. Oops. I thought it was like Phillip Island where you just drive across to the island.
It's not really an island.
It's definitely an island.
Oh, I hate it. Oh, I can feel it.
It'll be cool. Our first destination is Bruny Island, which involves driving 30 minutes south of Hobart and then catching the ferry over to the island, which takes about 20 minutes. The island is actually more like two islands connected with a narrow stretch called the Neck. Bruny Island is well known for its local produce including honey, cheeses, oysters and chocolate, and has an abundant amount of wildlife. The first place we stumbled across was the honey joint, which is only about 10 minutes off the boat, so we had to go check it out. We definitely took some of this honey mead home with us. After leaving the honey place, we spotted this little fella on the side of the road. Echidnas are around where we live, but they aren't super common to stumble across. Now there are fences along the sides of the road here made to stop the wildlife from coming out onto the road, but somehow this little guy had been caught on the wrong side. We attempted to briefly try to plan a way to help him out, but his spines made it a bit hard, and we didn't want to stress him out too much, so we ended up leaving him and hoping he found his way back from where he came. The next time we passed along this area, he wasn't around, so we're hoping that he made it out safe and sound. Even with the weather being a bit crazy, we decided after picking up our keys to our accommodation from the local pub to head to Adventure Bay on the other side of the island to check it out.
The green area. They're just babies.
Old Biddy told us if we walked up this way that there was going to be some seals eating some fish. She lied to us through song. Hate it when they do that. I reckon we walked up and down here for a good 20 minutes before we actually spotted a seal, and boy, he looked like he was having fun. Fur seals and occasionally elephant seals are both known to be found in these waters. Both species of seals used to be hunted for their furs before they became protected in 1923, and the elephant seals are on the threatened species list. Okay, she didn't lie to us through song.
We owe her an apology.
We owe the random lady apology. We just saw.
Sorry.
We saw one seal, which was pretty exciting. Just flip-flopping about. It's pretty great.
He's there.
He's there. After leaving the beach, we headed on to our accommodation back on the other side of the island and found some cute little neighbours hanging out in the yard. Because Tasmania has no foxes, a lot of small animals have survived here, and especially so on Bruny Island. You'll come across a lot of wallabies and paddymellons, and if you're lucky like we were, you might even catch a glimpse of the rare white albino wallabies on the island. The next day before we jumped in the car to head north again, we couldn't leave without popping down to see the beach that we could see just off our porch, because even through the trees, it looked like an amazing view. What are you doing? What are you trying to get?
Nothing.
Do it. She's looking for a better stick, which I told her she'd need in the first place, but we won't bring that up, will we? Got a better stick? Feeling pretty good about that one?
I'm feeling great about this one. It's got good girth, good strength.
Good girth. Good firmness.
Alright. I don't have to put my arm in nearly as far now. Done it.
That seemed easy.
Told you it was a good stick.
Ooh. Have you bet yourself?
Yeah, now I don't know what to do with it.
We're about to go up to Mavista Falls, There's a little car park here, which is literally just a wider spot of the road, but I can see a walkway off the side there, so I reckon that's where we're meant to go. But the signage, not super crash hot, but let's see how it goes when we get there. Maggie just reminded me that there's probably leeches in this forest, so I'm very excited with this information. The Mavista Rainforest Walk is located only a minute's drive from the main area of Adventure Bay and is an easy 40-minute walk on predominantly flat ground. I would suggest a wheelchair might struggle a bit along this one just due to the mud, but if you've got a pram that's pretty good off-road, that should be fine. We actually expected this to be the Mavista Falls walk at the time, but we've since discovered that the full trail that takes you to the only waterfall on Bruny Island was actually closed over 15 years ago. You can unofficially get there from the end of this trail, but it becomes a scramble over rocks and is only accessible to those that are pretty fit and experienced bushwalkers. The Rainforest Walk itself is still worth the effort and takes you along a meandering path that follows a picturesque creek. Just trying to hunt for spiders there? Yes. What's it called? The feared walking into spider webs unexpectedly.
It's 1-1 so far, I think.
Yeah.
So pretty sure we've reached the end of the official little trail. It's clearly been extended by people, but it does get a little bit less accessible. Is probably the only word to use. Yeah.
So just going to go back a little bit, and you can see that we got to a portion where there was these posts at the end of the trail, and I think that's the end of the official trail, and then after that is the unofficial bit where you can keep going. So the view to this point is really still quite amazing. It doesn't end with a waterfall, which I kind of half expected it to, but the views that it has are well worth the trip. Our last stop on Bruny Island is the lookout at the Neck, where the North and South Islands are connected by land only 100 metres wide. The day we came, it was super windy. It's very windy. It's blown over. The reserve and the lookout is composed of a lower area where the boardwalk takes you down to the sand, and where in the warmer months, typically from about September through to February, you can see little penguins returning to nest there in the evenings. During peak times, there will be a parks and wildlife expert there as a guide. Up almost 300 steps, the top lookout gives 360-degree views across both sides of the Neck and towards the Tasmanian mainland. It's not nearly as windy at the top.
No,
that's what it was on the way up.
Weirdly, we're up higher, but the wind has somehow cut out.
It's really weird.
High enough above sea level, apparently.
Yep. This bit behind us, it's called the Neck.
Look at the colour difference.
And it's adjoining the two parts of the North and South Island. And it's really brown on that side, but it's really blue on this side. But I think it's just the clouds over top that's making it look that way more than anything.
What do you think?
I don't know. Seems to. It's a mystery. You'll find a monument commemorating the tragic past of the Aboriginal peoples of the area during the time of European settlement up here also. After leaving Bruny Island, we travelled 4 hours north to the sleepy seaside town of Bicheno, which was a perfect spot to base ourselves to go visit Wineglass Bay. Found a spot?
Yeah, just a sneaky little spot. We just pulled over for some petrol and saw a glimpse of cool rocks through the oceany brush shit, and we turned down a side street and found this.
Wineglass Bay is located within the Freesentet National Park and is considered one of the top 10 beaches in the world. Nestled within the iconic Hazards Range and bordered with the pink granite peaks, Wineglass Bay is the most photographed view in the entirety of Tasmania. The lady at the visitor centre gave us a sheet with a whole bunch of walks on them, and I reckon we're going to smash out all the easy ones. What do you reckon?
That sounds delightful.
Smash out all the easy ones because we've got to save the legs for Cradle Mountain, so this should be fun. Gonna start out with an easy one to Great Oyster Bay from the visitor centre. Just meant to be a 10-minute return, so nice and easy down to the beach, so good one to get the legs moving out of the car.
Yeah.
Just off the visitor centre, you'll find a couple of small trails down to the water's edge, known as Oyster Bay in this area of the park. And apart from having amazing views, there's also fantastic camping spots that you can book here within the visitor centre. There is in fact quite a few beachside camping areas with powered and unpowered options available, and if camping isn't your style, there's a few different lodges in the park that may take your fancy. Our next short walk was a 10km drive away to the Cape Tourville Lighthouse and Lookout. Made especially well for wheelchair access, this 20-minute loop walk with amazing views of the Tasman Sea was a really cute spot to check out. Keep an eye out for wildlife, including seabirds, sea eagles, whales, seals and dolphins, which have all been seen from here.
How long am I?
New Zealand fur seal. This far away. Common dolphin. This far away. Long-finned pilot whale. Southern right whale. Humpback whale. Sperm whale. The blue whale was 33 metres. That's ridiculous. Excuse me, sir. Do you know where we park? That way? Oh, great. Thank you. The next walk we undertook was the famous Wineglass Bay Lookout Loop, which is a 1.5 hour, 2.6 kilometre trail that's graded 3, which means some bushwalking experience is recommended and there's steep areas of the trail, so not great for people with accessibility issues. Kids able to walk on their own would be fine for this one, but don't bring the stroller because there's about 300 steps to look forward to at the top end of this trail. Don't follow me, Mr. Rock. Although you may think the name refers to the wineglass-shaped shoreline, it is in fact originating from a much darker history. The peninsula was once the exclusive domain of the Bicheno people, the Oyster Bay tribe, and for some 30,000 years they lived off the bounty of the sea and the forest. Some of the tracks and paths that we walk today were also walked by the original inhabitants thousands of years ago. Peninsula takes its name from one or both of the brothers de Freycinet, Louis Claude and Louis Henry. And in 1802 they joined with French explorer Nicolas Bourdon on an expedition to map the southern coasts of mainland Australia and Van Diemen's Land. And in the 1820s, whalers came to Wineglass Bay. For 20 years they would explore the bay in small boats, harpooning nearby whales and dragging them back out towards shore. The carcass was then butchered and the bones were used for corsets and hoop skirts, whilst the blubber was boiled, extracting oil to be exported to Britain for lighting. And during this time, the soft blue waters stained red with blood to resemble the rich hue of your glass of red wine, and so the bay acquired its iconic name. By the 1850s, the whalers had moved on, and then came sheep and cattle grazing, and coal and tin mining. Degradation of the environment continued until 1916, when the peninsula was declared a national park. We've reached Cradle Mountain and it is nippy up here. It's so cold up here. I'm so thankful to have these new jackets. We'll talk about these a bit later, but man, we're very, very lucky to have these. Everyone who enters the park has to swing past the visitor centre first. It's where you pay for tickets to entry into the park, and it's also where you can pick up your bus tickets as well. You're allowed to take your own vehicle as far into the park as stop 2 on the bus shuttle route, which is the ranger station in the interpretation centre. So we drove our car into that point, jumped out, and then grabbed the bus from there further into the park. We got off the bus at Ronnie Creek, which is the spot before the main trail section that is the more famous Cradle Mountain walk, because we'd heard that that's where we're going to find all the wombats, and we weren't disappointed. So they've said to register all your walks through the park, which makes sense because if something goes wrong or when the park sort of closes at the end of the day, they kind of need to know that everyone made their way out. So that's a bonus. So Miggy's filling out the booklet there for us, and then we'll head off on the trail to take us through where the wombats mostly are. Bit sad, but okay. The belief is that the best time to see the wombats along Ronnie Creek Trail, or anywhere generally, is that it's best to check them out at dawn and dusk, but we came along mid-morning and they were everywhere. Coincidentally, they're also meant to be solitary creatures, but the conditions here are so perfect for them that there were so many of them just milling about. Hey little buddy. Wombats are the world's largest burrowing mammals, and they can grow up to 85 centimetres in length and weigh up to 20 kilograms, and they really seem like real-life Pokemon. They spend up to 16 hours a day sleeping in their dens, and they only emerge to eat. Their strong front teeth never stop growing, but they're ground down through grazing and gnawing through roots and other obstructions as they clear new chambers for their burrows. Oh no. So the wombats here are really used to people being around, and that's why we were able to get so close to them without them scurrying off into the distance. But please go by the rules here. You're meant to stay on the trail at all times, so don't step off it to get closer or better looks, and make sure you definitely don't touch the wombats. It's just against the rules. Betty and I were just saying that it feels like there's just nobody else around. Kind of feels like we're in one of those open world video games like Skyrim, and there's just no other people here, which is pretty amazing. Cradle Mountain in the Lake St Clair National Park is located within a World Heritage Area in the north-central part of Tasmania and is known to be stunning across all seasons. The park offers a world-class system of walking tracks to explore the ranges from very short easy strolls through to the legendary Overland Track. This 5 to 6 day hike stretches 80 kilometres from Cradle Mountain through to Lake St Clair and is an unforgettable journey through Tasmania's alpine heart. In addition to the wombats, the area is also known to be home to a wide range of animals, including the Tasmanian devil, the spotted tail and eastern quolls, the platypus, and even echidnas. Our last full day at Cradle Mountain before we head home, and it's time to go see the devils at Cradle. I took my gloves off when we got here so I could have maximum devil touchage. We've paid for a couple of different tours here today. One of them is a touching and meeting and petting tour, and the other one is a feeding tour. This Tasmanian Devil Sanctuary is a breeding and conservation facility for 3 of Tasmania's uniquely threatened carnivorous marsupials, the Tasmanian devil, the spotted tail quoll, and the eastern quoll. They're committed here to the conservation and protection of this vulnerable species in the Tasmanian devils. The centre operates a successful captive breeding program, ensuring the ongoing survival of Tasmanian devils in healthy numbers in the wild. The rangers that took us through these talks were super informative and super interesting. I really highly recommend going on these because we got a lot out of them, learning about the breeding programs, what they eat, and all sorts of things we never knew about before. We also learnt a lot more about the medical issues due to the tumours that they're having that are decimating the species out in the wild. But we did also learn that they've got a vaccine that's only a couple of years off being presented out into the wild species, so fingers crossed that goes ahead as planned. So just a warning on this next little bit, you might want to look away if you're a little bit squeamish. I wanted to share a little bit of video footage of the devils eating their meals. Basically they got fed half a joey and some possum, and they really like that, but it's not cut up, presented nicely meat like we'd get at a supermarket. It's full on animal, and Betty didn't really like watching this, but I found it super interesting, so I thought I'd share it. One of the funniest bits though was that the birds surrounding them were always like pecking at the heels trying to pick up little bits of meat that the devils missed, and every so often the devils would turn their attention to the birds and scare them off, but then they'd come back again. It was really funny. Sadly, our final day in Tassie arrived, but not to be outdone by everything we'd already seen, it decided to turn on the snow, and I got to enjoy being in actual snowfall for the first time in my life. Hey everyone, we are back from Tasmania, and it's really nice and sunny right now, but I tell you what, it was raining earlier, and that's what spring is like in here. The cool parts about spring is that the garden's gone bonkers, we've got stuff growing, we're just about to put our shop front back out again for the season. The bad thing about spring is that, like I said, sunny one minute, raining on us the next. In fact, this morning it feels like minus 1.7 degrees. So these jackets that we got from Ororo are absolutely mint at this time of year. We want to thank Ororo for sending us these jackets that we got that kept us really nice and toasty throughout our tour through the coldest part of Australia, and they did their job above and beyond. Not only are they just a awesome jacket in their own right, but they actually are a heated jacket. So you've got a couple of control buttons here, and then you've got a whole bunch of heated zones throughout the jacket. So we've got a couple at the front, down my arms, and a couple on my back as well, which just keeps us nice and toasty. They run off a little charging external battery that just sits in an internal pocket on the inside. You barely feel the thing, you just can recharge that just as if it's your phone or anything like that. It runs off USB-C. The cool thing about that is you can actually use it for a battery backup to charge your phone or any other controls later on as well if you don't need to use it to heat the jacket. So all you need to do is press these buttons up here and it starts kicking in. Hold it down for a couple of seconds and the light starts coming on, and you'll feel nice and toasty within a few seconds. You'll start feeling it heating up. Can't recommend these jackets enough. Just nick over to their website. I'll share a whole bunch of those details here and you can order them for yourselves. I really highly recommend. There's a lot of different styles, so you can get a style and a colour that suits you. The website is brilliant to work through. The customer service has been amazing. The sizing charts are on point, so whatever you need, you can find it out from there. But really highly recommend these heated jackets. A lot of the others on the market are a little bit cheapy. You have to have tool batteries for a lot of them because a lot of them are made to go with tools, and the batteries by themselves can set you back lots of dollars. So this comes with the batteries and the charging points and everything you need to get it cranking. So highly recommend. Ororo, thank you so much for sending them out to us. We appreciate it, and we'll be back soon with videos showing you the property and what it's looking like this end of the season. And I tell you what, we let this place go to the dumps over winter, but it's looking mint right now. Can't wait to share it with you on the next one. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.